We all know that Devil's Tower is one of America's most recognizable landmarks, made famous by close encounters of the third kind and visited by thousands of hikers and climbers every year. But what if I told you that beneath its striking beauty lies a pattern of disappearances so disturbing that park officials have quietly stopped acknowledging it? Doesn't make sense, does it? National parks should be safe, their dangers well documented and preventable. Yet at Devil's Tower, people vanish under circumstances that defy logics. Experienced climbers disappear from routes they've mastered. Hikers are found miles from where they should be with no memory of how they got there. And search dogs refuse to track certain trails, backing away as if sensing something humans cannot. Today we're uncovering the shocking truth about Devil's Tower's disappearances. The cases that don't make headlines, the patterns authorities won't discuss, and the possibility that something about this ancient formation draws people in and refuses to let them go. Devil's Tower rises from the plains of northeastern Wyoming like a stone pillar reaching toward the sky. Geologists describe it as an igneous intrusion, magma that cooled underground and was later exposed by erosion. But to the Lakota, Cheyenne, and other native tribes, it's something far more significant. They call it Bear Lodge, and their legends speak of a time when giant bears chased 7 sisters up a rock that grew taller to protect them. The bears clawed at the stone, creating the vertical striations still visible today. The sisters became the stars of the Pleiades, forever out of reach. But the legends also contain warnings. The Lakota say the tower is a sacred place not to be climbed or disturbed. Those who ignore the warnings they believe risk angering the spirits that dwell within the rock. And for over a century, people have gone missing at Devil's Tower in ways that suggest something beyond natural explanation. The first documented disappearance occurred in 1893, long before Devil's Tower became a national monument. A surveyor named Thomas Harlow was mapping the area surrounding the tower when he failed to return to camp. His crew searched for 3 days, finding no trace. 2 weeks later, a rancher discovered Thomas's body 12 miles southeast of the tower, in terrain he would have had no reason to traverse. Thomas had died from exposure, but what disturbed investigators was his condition. His boots were gone, his pack was missing, and his compass, found in his pocket, pointed in the wrong direction, as if something had interfered with its magnetic function. The coroner noted strange lacerations on Thomas's arms and legs, deep scratches that resembled claw marks. In 1952, a climbing party of 4 set out to summit Devil's Tower via the Durance route, one of the most popular climbing paths. The weather was clear, the climbers were experienced, but halfway up, one member of the group, a man named Daniel Rhodes, stopped responding to his teammates' calls. When they descended to check on him, Daniel was gone. His ropes were still secured, his gear remained clipped to the rock face, but Daniel had vanished. Search and rescue teams combed the area for 2 weeks. Helicopters scanned the surrounding terrain. Dogs tracked scents to the base of the tower, and then lost the trail entirely, as if Daniel had simply ceased to exist. 3 months later, hikers found human remains in a remote canyon 8 miles north of Devil's Tower. Dental records confirmed it was Daniel Rhodes, but the location made no sense. To reach that canyon, Daniel would have had to survive the fall from the tower, then hike through rugged wilderness in the opposite direction of all roads and trails. The medical examiner estimated Daniel had survived for at least 3 days after his disappearance, despite having no supplies, no water, and injuries consistent with a severe fall. And strangest of all, Daniel's climbing harness was still fastened to his body, with sections of rope still attached, as if he had been cut free rather than unclipping himself. In 1978, a young woman named Sarah Brennan was hiking the Red Beds Trail, a gentle 2.8-mile loop around Devil's Tower's base. She was with a group of friends walking in the middle of the line. Witnesses said Sarah was there one moment, visible and talking, and then simply gone. The group stopped immediately, calling her name. No response. They retraced their steps. No sign of Sarah. Park rangers were notified within minutes, and a massive search operation began. Over 200 volunteers, helicopters with thermal imaging, and search dogs all deployed to find Sarah. The search lasted 5 days. On the 5th day, Sarah was found sitting on a rock outcrop 4 miles west of the trail. She was alive but disoriented. When questioned, Sarah had no memory of leaving the trail. She didn't remember walking 4 miles through dense forest and rocky terrain. She couldn't explain how she'd survived without food or water, and she insisted repeatedly that she'd heard voices calling her name, leading her away from the group. Medical evaluations found no drugs or alcohol in her system. Psychological assessments revealed no underlying mental health issues. Sarah was, by all accounts, a rational person who'd experienced something she couldn't explain. In interviews years later, Sarah described the voices as familiar, like her mother's voice, calling her to come closer. She followed, believing she was walking toward safety, only to find herself alone in the wilderness with no idea how she'd gotten there. Sarah never returned to Devil's Tower, and she's far from the only one who reports hearing voices. Between 1980 and 2020, Devil's Tower National Monument has had 23 documented cases of missing persons. Of those, 18 were eventually found alive, though often in locations that made no logical sense. 5 were never found, and nearly all of the survivors report the same phenomenon: voices calling their names, leading them away from trails, away from safety, deeper into the wilderness. In 2003, a climber named Marcus Chen was scaling the tower's west face when he heard his wife calling for help. Marcus immediately descended, abandoning his climb to find her, but his wife was at the visitor center, over a mile away, and had never called out. Marcus spent 2 hours searching for the source of the voice before realizing it had led him into a dangerous section of loose rock. He barely made it back to the established route. In 2011, a family hiking the Joyner Ridge Trail heard their young daughter's voice coming from the forest, despite the fact that she was standing right beside them. The father investigated and found nothing, but the voice continued, calling, "Daddy, help me," from deeper in the trees. The family left immediately. Park rangers have quietly documented these reports, but there's no official explanation. Some suggest acoustic anomalies, echoes created by the tower's unique rock formations. Others think it's psychological, that the isolation and grandeur of Devil's Tower trigger auditory hallucinations. But the consistency of the reports, the specific detail of hearing familiar voices calling for help, suggests something more deliberate. Something that knows how to lure people away from safety. In 2015, a journalist investigating the disappearances interviewed a retired park ranger named Edward Talbot. Edward had worked at Devil's Tower for 30 years and had participated in dozens of search and rescue operations. He spoke frankly, though he requested anonymity at the time. "We don't talk about it publicly," he said, "but everyone who works here knows there's something about the tower that affects people. Some hear voices, others see things, figures that vanish when you look directly at them. And the dogs, they know. A good search dog will follow any scent, but at Devil's Tower, they refuse to go near certain areas. They'll stop, whine, and back away. You can't force them forward." Edward described one particular search in 1998 when a young man named Tyler Hammond went missing on the South Side Trail. Search dogs tracked Tyler's scent to a specific spot near the base of the tower, then stopped. The dog circled, agitated, refusing to continue with. The handlers tried everything, but the dogs wouldn't move past that point. Tyler was never found. His case remains open. Edward also mentioned something rarely discussed: missing time. Several people found after going missing at Devil's Tower report losing hours or even days with no memory. They remember starting their hike, hearing something, and then suddenly being somewhere else with no recollection of the journey. Medical tests show no signs of head trauma or intoxication, yet the time is simply gone. One woman, found in 2007, insisted she'd only been gone for an hour. In reality, she'd been missing for 3 days. Native American tribes have long held that Devil's Tower is a place of power, a location where the natural and supernatural intersect. Some Lakota elders believe spirits dwell within the rock, guardians that protect the sacred site from those who approach with disrespect or improper intention. These spirits, they say, can lead people astray, confuse them, even take them if necessary to protect the tower's sanctity. Dr. Michael Runningbaugh, a cultural historian and member of the Oglala Lakota, explained it this way in a 2019 interview. Our people have always known that Bear Lodge is not just a geological feature. It's a living place, a spiritual center. When you climb it, you're walking on something sacred, and if you come without respect, without understanding, the spirits will respond. Some people feel it as unease. Others hear things, and some are taken, removed from the place because they don't belong. The National Park Service officially attributes disappearances to natural causes, exposure, falls, getting lost in unfamiliar terrain. But the patterns don't align with typical wilderness disappearances. At Devil's Tower, people vanish from well-marked trails in good weather. They're found in locations that require navigating obstacles they shouldn't have been able to cross. And they report experiences that suggest external influence, voices, lost time, gaps in memory. In 2012, the park quietly installed additional signage along trails, reminding visitors to stay on designated paths and to turn back if they feel disoriented. But the signs don't mention the voices. They don't acknowledge the pattern. And when asked directly, park officials defer to standard safety protocols, declining to discuss specific cases or unusual circumstances. But the disappearances continue. In 2018, a solo hiker named Kevin Lawson was reported missing after failing to return from a day hike. Search teams found his car in the parking lot, his phone inside with the last call made to his brother that morning. Kevin was never found. In 2020, during the pandemic when visitation was limited, a woman hiking alone reported being followed by a figure she described as human-shaped but wrong. She didn't look back. She said later, "I just knew I shouldn't." She ran to the trailhead and didn't stop until she reached her car. When rangers investigated, they found no footprints, no signs of another person, just the woman's own tracks. And beside them, strange impressions in the dirt that didn't match any human or animal. Some researchers believe Devil's Tower sits on a geological anomaly, an area where magnetic fields or underground formations create perceptual disturbances. Others think the answer is simpler, that in a place visited by thousands, statistically, some will get lost. But the voices remain unexplained. The lost time remains unexplained. And the refusal of search dogs to enter certain areas suggests they sense something humans overlook. Perhaps Devil's Tower is exactly what the Lakota say it is. A sacred place, protected by forces we don't understand. A location where the rules of the ordinary world don't fully apply. Or perhaps there's a more unsettling truth, that some places on Earth hold power beyond geology, power that draws people in and doesn't always let them leave. Today, Devil's Tower stands as both a natural wonder and a place of mystery. Climbers scale its walls, families hike its trails, and visitors take photos, marveling at its ancient beauty. But beneath the surface, the pattern persists. People continue to disappear. Voices continue to call from the forest, and park rangers continue to search, knowing that some cases will never be solved. If you're fascinated by the places where nature and the unexplainable converge, subscribe and let us know if you dare to hike Devil's Tower alone. Because in Wyoming's high plains, where the tower rises like a stone finger pointing at the sky, something watches, something waits, and some who answer its call are never seen again.